Fez, the first and queen of the Moroccan imperial cities, astonishes visitors with its beauty. A walk through the old city with its sights, sounds, and smells, and contrast between incredible wealth and poverty, is sure to create unforgettable emotions. Moroccan architecture is based on two characteristic features that never cease to fascinate and please: Zellage tilework together with boldly designed gates. The wall encircling Fez el-Bali, as the old city of Fez is known, is in a good state of preservation. The many gates in the wall vary in style, from extremely ornate to quite simple, but all bear witness to the city's former wealth and prestige. There are four major entrances to Fez el-Bali. The Al-Marouk Gate was erected at the beginning of the 13th century, under the reign of the Sultan al-Nasir ben Yusuf al-Mansur, while the city walls, partially destroyed by the Sultan's grandfather, the Caliph Abd-al-Munim, were being rebuilt. Bab Marouk, meaning the Gate to the Burnt, was formerly called the Bab Sharia, the Law Gate. It acquired its new name from two dramatic events. The magnificent fortifications and ramparts, together with their babs or gates, date to the 11th century period of Berber Almoravid rule. During this reign, the two separate towns of the Al-Qarawiyyin and the Andalusi, which faced each other across the Fez River, were united by a single fortification. This was later completed in 1276 under the Sultan Abu Yusuf Yaqub during the Marinid dynasty, when his new administrative center, Fez al-Jid, was established in Fez. In front of the city gate lies an overgrown cemetery, its graves scattered between mule tracks and flowering thistles. Bab Chems, the Sun Gate, is one of the remnants of the eponymous Kasbah fortress, erected by the Alawites to house a group of armed forces from the Rif region during the rule of Muley Hassan I. The gate is constituted of two central arched gates and two small adjacent entries for pedestrians on both sides. Bab Hujlud Gate, one of the main entrances to the Old Medina, was built at the beginning of the 20th century under the French Protectorate authority. The gate, composed of a central arch and two small lateral arches, is decorated with typical Fassi blue tilework on the exterior facade. Fez is actually three unique cities in the same urban conglomeration. The oldest of these, Fez el-Bali, straddles the Fez River. The Medina of Fez preserves in its old, dense weave of ancient alleyways the memory of the monumental capital founded in 789 by Idris I. The ancient city is composed of two distinct centers: the neighborhood of the Andalus, as a population that fled the Umayyad masters of Cordoba and who came to settle definitively on the right bank of the Fez River, were called. The other, the court of the Qarawiyyin, a people who emigrated from Kairouan in the 11th century and chose to settle on the river's left bank. Though a great swath of the city was destroyed by the Almoravides, the dynasty which rose to power in the 11th century, the two quarters grouped around two major monuments, their two mosques. After the Marinid conquest, finding itself constrained within its walls, a new city, Fez al-Jadid, was founded directly to the west. The city came to dominate Moroccan trade, politics, religion, and culture under the Marinids in the 13th century, when Fez al-Jadid was built. In the 14th century, a Jewish quarter, the Mela, joined itself to the newly founded city. The fortified city walls and gates create the city's special atmosphere. Here is the Bab Bujat, also known as the Gate of the Great Meshouar. Bab Dakin, the Lion's Gate, dates back to the 13th century in the Marinid dynasty. It features 3 solid arches, flanked by 2 towers. Fez was intimately linked to Islamic Spain, politically, economically, and culturally, particularly after 1492, when Ferdinand and Isabel's expulsion of Muslims and Jews from the Iberian Peninsula brought an influx of refugees into the city. Visual references to the religious and Palatine architecture of Islamic Spain are evident, for instance, in the Hippo-style plan of the Al-Qarawiyyin Mosque, its 10th century square stone minaret, and by the carved stucco, wood, and glazed tile ornamental style derived from the Alhambra. Fez, Morocco's ancient center of learning and the arts, is now the focus of one of the world's most ambitious preservation and restoration efforts. The restoration of historic walls, mostly built using the ancestral method of rammed earth or peas, consists of consolidating and reconstructing the missing parts of the walls. The restoration now underway comprises 43 separate projects, dealing not only with the preservation of monuments, but also with the revitalization of the regional economy, upgrading of infrastructure, and the development of institutions to foster and preserve the city's cultural and intellectual life. This immense historic urban site and its walls still preserve all the features of the medieval city, ranging from its water system, urban facilities, housing, markets or souks, to working neighborhoods. Like its blank and austere facades, its network of winding pedestrian streets has never been altered. In addition to its intact physical environment, the walled city remains the hub of the local economy and the core of Morocco's spiritual and cultural legacy. The economy of Fez's Old Medina is still based on traditional industries, such as tanneries, soap making, textile and flour mills, along with oil processing. Cereal grains, olives, grapes and beans are the major crops of the region. Fez's tanneries are well known throughout Morocco, and the most important is the Chouara tannery. Divided into 2 areas, the area with the white tanks is used for cleaning rough leather by ammonia, while the area with the colored tanks is used for the 4-day-long process of leather painting. The tanneries are the most vivid example of the crafts once commonly found in the Medina. The Bab Bujat gate is decorated with typical ceramic ornamentation. Green, the color of Islam on the interior facade, and blue, the color of Fez on the exterior facade. Fez's walls and fortifications are justly considered magnificent, but it is an equally massive task to restore them and maintain them in good condition. Fez, once the capital of Morocco, is one of the country's 4 imperial cities, together with Rabat, Marrakesh, and Meknes. its mixture of peoples that have settled here over the centuries, including Muslims from Tunisia, the Middle East and Spain, Iberian Jews and Berber tribes, together with its proximity to Europe, have lent the city its cosmopolitan character. Long an important trading post and manufacturing center, Fez was also widely known as one of the primary centers for learning and religion in the Muslim world, thanks to its ancient university, Al-Qarawiyyin. Its Medina, dense labyrinth of alleyways, mosques, houses, and vendor stalls, is believed to be the world's largest contiguous car-free urban area. The famous cobalt blue is the signature color of Fez's ceramics. Some of the most beautiful Moroccan pottery comes from this imperial city. Morocco has many types of wood used in marquetry and cabinet making, including cedar, rosewood, argan, pine, and oak. The Medina is an unmappable maze of more than 9,000 alleys, where mules are the only form of transport, and life is a fascinating blend of medieval and modern. The architectural styles of the houses in Fez's Medina vary. Here's a douira, a small house, often with only one room downstairs, one upstairs, and a small courtyard, usually without pillars. The people who bring animal skins to town, remove the hair and fur, and bring them to the tanners' district are still a step or two down the social ladder from the tanners. The art of making mosaic tiles dates back many centuries in the old city of Fez. Handmade, hand-glazed, and hand-cut Moroccan mosaics are crafted using traditional and regional organic clays and glazed pigments. Popular items made with leather include the mainstays of Berber tents, embroidered bags, and pointed slippers, known as babouches, as well as traditional poufs, shown here. The old city of Fez offers a nearly perfect image of the ancient Islamic city, a world of centuries-old traditions and customs, seemingly untouched by the modern world. Its dense and intricate web of alleyways and narrow streets absorbs the visitor with its smells, sights, and sounds. Yet the structure of the dwellings is organized by a precise analogy between physical structure and social model. The house is set out as an aggregation of cells around a courtyard, the pivot of all the living spaces. The importance of the courtyard in everyday domestic life and in the religious life of the Arab family may be expressed in the technological details. The The mastery and care of execution in constructing the timber structure and the decoration is evident, so that the courtyard becomes a true assemblage of materials, colors, and designs. The interior walls of the house are covered with simple plaster. The plaster is applied to the wall, a design is incised, and then is carved in situ. Natural colors, similar to those used in zellige and wood, were applied to highlight designs or calligraphy, but much of the surface was left unpainted. Older houses in Fez were very colorful and cheerful, with color lavished on most of the doors, windows, ceilings, carved plaster, and floors. It was only in the late 19th and early 20th centuries that it became fashionable to leave carved wood and plaster unpainted. The dimensions of the courtyard are determined by the type of roof that is adopted, not the number of floors of the house. The main structural types of protection are a roof supported by columns, or a roof with its structure embedded directly in the wall. In this kind of domestic architecture, a fountain made of zellige mosaic is built into the wall. Fez's many fountains were originally fed by springs. Elsewhere we find a marble fountain in the center of the courtyard. Fountains played a central role in domestic and indeed urban architecture in Fez. Offering a cool and refreshing drink, fountains were a necessity in the midst of such a hot climate, their importance underscored by their oftentimes elaborate embellishment. The walls of houses in Fez are made of lime, sand, and bricks. Cement was never used in traditional building. The advantage of using lime is that the walls breathe, making the houses cooler in the summer and warmer in the winter. Most of the houses in Fez date from the 17th century or later, although their plans reflect earlier models. Experimental operations carried out in Fez between 1985 and 1989 prove that the conservation of the houses of the Medina is possible. These operations have covered many areas, such as monument restoration, residential rehabilitation, as well as emergency interventions in unsound buildings. The task of conserving and restoring Fez's oldest neighborhoods is enormous. Its thousands of alleyways are lined with even more houses and shops, one built right next to the other, and with donkeys and humans constantly passing by. Sometimes it seems as if there is barely enough space to move, much less room to carry out important structural interventions. The tourist souk routes are clearly marked and offer the visitor a first taste of the Medina before exploring the enigmatic labyrinth that comprises the heart of this unique area. The souk or market is a network of covered narrow streets, a strange and curious place where vendors sell everything from live chickens, rose petals to goat's heads. Nothing stirs the imagination more than the souk's smells, and nothing so effectively brings back the past. Here indeed is Fez as it once was. The scent of cedar wood and fresh olives mixes with the dry, dusty smell of heaped-up corn and the pungent smell of freshly tanned leather. And the Souk Al-Tarin, the street of the spice vendors, which runs the entire length of the town center. A medley of perfumes from the Orient is for sale, along with an amazing variety of spices. The Al-Qarawiyyin is one of the largest mosques in Morocco. It was founded in 859 by Fatima al-Fihri, daughter of a wealthy merchant named Muhammad al-Fihri, during the reign of the Isarid dynasty. More than a simple mosque, it soon developed into a place for religious instruction and political discussion, gradually extending its education to a broad range of subjects, particularly the natural sciences. The madrasa gained the patronage of politically powerful sultans and compiled a large selection of manuscripts that were kept at the library founded in 1349. Home to such famous scholars as Maimonides, it was the site of important cultural exchange between the European and Islamic worlds. Today, it is recognized as the oldest continuously functioning university in the world. The architecture of the mosque has evolved and expanded over the centuries until it has become the largest mosque in Africa, with room for 20,000 worshippers. Tiles, plasterwork, wood carvings, paintings, and courtyards adorn the interior and exterior of the mosque, adding to the immense allure of this prestigious building. While the original mosque was only about 30 meters long with 4 aisles, the building has undergone roughly 1,000 years of development. Bab Dal al-Maksan, the Royal Palace Gate, was erected in the 1960s, but the wall that surrounds the Royal Palace is constituted of elements dating from many different historical eras. The wall is punctuated by a series of monumental doors, but the gate remains the main gate of the palace, opening onto a vast esplanade in which the king receives foreign dignitaries visiting Fez. The gate is characterized by its 7 symmetrically arranged doors and windows, with rich and varied ornamentation, covered by gilt bronze, zellige mosaic, and flanked by white marble columns. The art of handcrafting Moroccan tiles remained very limited in use until the rise of the Merenid dynasty in the 14th century. Blue, red, green, and yellow were colors introduced in the 17th century. Old enamels using natural colors, which had probably not evolved much since the Merenid era, were used until the beginning of the 20th century. The cities of Fez and Meknes remain the centers of this art. Fez is divided into 3 basic parts: Fez el-Bali, the old Medina; Fez el-Jadid, or New Fez, though it is really hundreds of years old; and the Ville Nouvelle, the new city. The Ville Nouvelle is the part of the city built by the French. It is laid out in the French colonial style, though it has been overhauled in recent years. The royal palace faces onto the Place des Alouettes. Fez is the 3rd largest city in Morocco, after Rabat and Casablanca, and its size becomes apparent as one attempts to leave the city. Burj Soud, the southern tower, was built by the Saadian Sultan Ahmed al-Mansur Dabi in the late 16th century. The tower offers a panoramic view over the old Medina and the surrounding area. Fez was the capital of the Merenid dynasty from the 13th until the 15th century. Under Merenid rule, the city attained the peak of its cultural and religious importance. Now in ruins, their once magnificent palace and necropolis from the 16th century are perched on a hillside. Between the city walls to the north and the Merenid tombs lie a number of vast Muslim cemeteries. Another enormous Islamic cemetery clearly visible from the Merenid tombs is Al-Maqfia to the south of Fez el-Bali. Fez is the spiritual heart of Morocco. The city, one of the oldest medieval cities in the world, is also one of the holiest in Islam. Fez, with its wealth of history, architecture, and culture, was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1981.